sword, sure as ever I speculated it.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into a life that, well, it takes some incredible twists and turns. We're following Pip, tracing his path from the windswept marshes right into the heart of London society.
Exactly. It's a story all about expectations, isn't it? What they mean, where they come from, and ultimately what really matters. We're looking at fortune, shame, and surprising loyalty.
And the story grips you right from the start. That opening scene is just terrifying, visceral. You've got young Pip literally turned upside down on a tombstone.
Yeah, seeing the church steeple under his feet, dizzy, terrified.
Pleading, "Oh, don't cut my throat, sir," and then being forced to steal for this escaped convict, a man with a heavy iron clamped to his leg. It's chaos.
And that physical inversion, the world turned upside down, it's such a powerful metaphor for Pip's entire life journey, isn't it? Morally, socially, everything gets flipped.
So our mission today is to track that journey. How does this boy from the forge end up a London gentleman, all thanks to a mysterious fortune? A fortune whose source, we're told, must remain a profound secret.
And in doing that, we'll be unpacking some really big themes. You know, this stark contrast between social classes, the crushing weight of secrets and guilt.
And how true worth maybe isn't about grand expectations at all, but about things like loyalty and sacrifice, things Pip initially desperately wants to escape.
Definitely. So let's start right there, back on those marshes.
Okay, that first encounter with the convict, Magwitch. It's pure primal fear.
Absolutely. There's no negotiation. Magwitch needs two things: a file for his leg iron and Whittle's food. And the threats are brutal, or I'll have your heart and liver out.
It's chilling. And he makes Pip swear this terrifying oath. Say, "Lord, strike you dead if you don't."
Right. It's not just a request. It's a burden, a curse placed right on this young boy's conscience. And the setting, the marshes themselves, they just amplify that dread, don't they?
They really do. The description is so vivid. Everything's flat, horizontal, the river, the sky. It feels bleak, exposed.
And the only things breaking that flatness are symbols of punishment. The beacon, described as this lonely, unhooped cask upon a pole, and even more grimly, the gibbet with chains hanging from it.
Yeah, Pip looks back and sees the convict limping towards the gibbet, and it makes him look as if he were the pirate come to life and going back to hook himself up again.
It's like death and crime are just part of the landscape.
Exactly. So you have this intense external threat, this landscape of fear, and then you contrast that with Pip's home life at the forge.
Which has its own kind of psychological pressure cooker feel, thanks to Mrs. Joe.
Oh, Mrs. Joe. Pip told her sister, she's something else, described as raising him by hand, which sounds nurturing, but really means
hitting him. Constantly, her hand is always ready to strike. And if Pip seems unwell or unhappy, her solution is those awful words, "You come along and be dosed."
That dosing is almost symbolic, isn't it? It's about control. She gives him this foul stuff, tar water, which apparently makes him smell like a new fence. Ugh. It's presented as care, but it feels like punishment. She holds his head under her arm, as a boot would be held in a boot jack, to administer it. It's just rough.
But then you have Joe Gargery, the blacksmith, Pip's brother-in-law. He's the complete opposite, isn't he? The moral heart of that early world.
Absolutely. And there's that incredible moment after Pip steals the food and file the first time. He's obviously consumed by guilt, practically choking on his bread.
And Joe sees it. He doesn't say anything, but he understands something's wrong. So he takes his own slice of bread and chews it really slowly, thinking.
And then swallows it like a pill. It's like he's taking on Pip's guilt, protecting him silently because he can't stand up to Mrs. Joe directly.
It's such a powerful, quiet act of love.
Yeah.
Joe's goodness is just there, fundamental. And this world, the forge, the marshes, it's all closely connected to something darker, too.
Yeah.
Pip hears firing in the distance.
Right, and he asks about it, and Joe explains it's the hulks.
The prison ships. Right across the meshes, Joe says. So the world of crime, convicts, punishment, it's not remote. It's literally just across the water, a constant looming presence.
Which makes Pip's second encounter, the second crime, even more fraught. He has to go back, steal more from Magwitch.
And this time the guilt is overwhelming. He feels like the house itself is accusing him. Every floorboard seems to creak, "Stop, thief!" or "Get up, Mrs. Joe." It's pure psychological torture.
He's so scared, but so determined. He steals bread, cheese, mincemeat, brandy, even diluting it with water to hide the theft, which shows a kind of desperate cleverness.
And the crucial pork pie. And the file from Joe's forge. He's betraying Joe's trust directly now, taking his tool.
And when he gets back to Magwitch on the marshes, there's this brief moment of gratitude from the convict, calling himself a wretched warmint. But then
Pip mentions seeing another convict, a second man, who looked like he'd been badly beaten.
and Magwitch just explodes, all gratitude vanishes.
Instantly. He grabs the file Pip brought and starts attacking his leg iron like a madman, completely ignoring the pain. This is the first real clue, isn't it?
Yeah, that this isn't just about a convict. It's about this convict and his intense hatred for that other convict.
Exactly. Pip has stumbled right into the middle of a fierce personal feud, a feud between Magwitch and this other man, Compeyson, which will, unbeknownst to Pip, shape his entire future. #tag2. The allure of Sadist House and the birth of shame.
So life goes on at the forge, but then comes this complete shift. An invitation arrives.
Delivered by the pompous Uncle Pumblechook, who sees himself as Pip's patron now, Pip is summoned to play at Miss Havisham's house. Sadist House.
Sadist House. The name means enough house, which is just dripping with irony because the place is defined by lack, by decay.
Utterly. Pip leaves the sort of benign neglect of his education under Mr. Wopsel's great aunt who mostly sleeps.
Right, and steps into a much more active, much crueler kind of education at Sadist House, an education in class and shame.
The house itself is described so powerfully. It's physically decaying. Chains across the main gate, dark passages, cobwebs everywhere.
And the brewery. Once presumably a place of industry, now just abandoned ruins. The source mentions it evaporated with its last reek of smoke. Like all potential just vanished.
And that sense of stalled potential is perfectly embodied in Miss Havisham's room. Time has literally stopped. The clocks, her watch, all stopped at 20 minutes to 9.
The moment presumably she received the devastating news about her wedding, and she's still wearing the dress.
Or what's left of it. It's yellowed, withered, described as looking like grave clothes, with the veil like a shroud. She's essentially entombed herself alive in her own heartbreak and bitterness.
It's gothic and tragic, and that detail of the single shoe on the dressing table.
Oh yes, the one white shoe, now yellow, that had never been worn. And on her foot, the tattered stocking where the other shoe should be. It's the symbol of the life she was meant to step into, but never did. Frozen potential.
And into this creepy frozen world steps Estella.
Estella, Miss Havisham's ward. Beautiful, poised, and incredibly cruel. She's been raised as a weapon.
Miss Havisham explicitly tells her, "Break their hearts, my pride and hope. Break their hearts and have no mercy." She uses Estella to inflict pain on men, vicariously getting her revenge.
And Estella is brutally effective. She immediately targets Pip's social standing. She calls his hands coarse, his boots thick. She treats him insolently as if I were a dog in disgrace.
And the impact on Pip is immediate and profound. He looks at himself, his hands, his boots, things that never bothered him before, and suddenly sees them as vulgar appendages.
That's the moment, isn't it? The birth of shame. He learns the harsh lesson of class consciousness. His simple, honest background is suddenly something to be embarrassed about, something that makes him unworthy in this new, refined world.
He feels this stinging pain he can't even name because it's so new. And Estella, seeing his tears, takes quick delight in having caused them. She's fulfilling her purpose.
It's psychological warfare, really. And this new shame, this feeling of inadequacy, it poisons his relationship with his old life. He can't even tell Mrs. Joe and Pumblechook the truth about Sadist House when he gets back.
Right, because how could he explain this bizarre, decaying place? They expect grandeur, wealth, so he lies.
And his lies are telling. He describes Miss Havisham as very tall and dark, the opposite of reality. He invents lavish details, cake and wine on golden plates.
And those 4 immense dogs fighting over veal cutlets, it's so over the top.
But it's exactly the kind of crude, obvious wealth they understand, and they immediately latch onto it. Pumblechook and Mrs. Joe start scheming, wondering what Miss Havisham will do for Pip. Will she leave him property, pay for his apprenticeship?
They see him purely as an investment, a route to social climbing. It's all about calculation.
And then poor Joe, bless him, tries to mediate. He loyally suggests maybe Pip was only given one of the dogs as a gift.
Which, of course, just makes him seem foolish and out of touch to Mrs. Joe and Pumblechook. His simple honesty puts him in the deepest disgrace. It highlights the gulf between Joe's values and their grasping ambition. #tag3, the gentleman and the web of expectations.
Okay, so fast forward 4 years. Pip is apprenticed to Joe, learning the trade, but he's secretly miserable nursing that shame born at Sadist House.
He feels trapped. He wants something more, something gentlemanly, largely because of Estella's scorn, and then everything changes. Mr. Jaggers appears.
Ah, Jaggers, the lawyer from London. His arrival at the local pub, the Jolly Bargeman, is a major turning point. He's described so vividly: large head, dark complexion.
And those hands that always smell of scented soap, like he's constantly trying to wash away the moral dirt of his profession.
He immediately dominates the pub, interrupting Mr. Wopsle, who's dramatically reading a newspaper account of a murder trial.
And Jaggers challenges the cozy pub assumptions about justice, grilling them on the principle of innocent until proved guilty. He exudes this air of cynical, worldly knowledge. He knows how the system really works.
And then he drops the bombshell. Pip has come into great expectations. A large fortune bestowed by an anonymous benefactor.
The conditions are strict, though. Pip must never try to discover the benefactor's identity. It must remain a profound secret. Any inquiry, and the money stops.
Which is a huge red flag right from the start, isn't it? This secrecy suggests the money isn't entirely clean.
Definitely. And the other condition, Pip must leave the forge immediately. He's to be educated as a gentleman in London under the tutelage of a Mr. Matthew Pocket.
So this is it. The dream comes true. Pip gets his chance to become the gentleman he thinks Estella wants, but it comes at a cost.
Oh, immediately. The alienation begins. Pip feels, as the source says, dissatisfied with myself, but he turns that outwards. He starts looking down on his old life.
Yeah, he feels this sublime compassion for the poor creatures back home, still stuck in the marshes, going to church every Sunday. He sees himself as above them now.
It's pretty ugly. His snobbery develops fast, and his farewell to Joe is just heartbreaking.
It really is. Joe comes to London, awkwardly dressed in his Sunday best, to deliver a message from Miss Havisham that Estella is home from abroad and would like to see Pip.
And Joe is so uncomfortable, so aware of the new social gap. He keeps calling Pip Sir. He says he feels wrong in these clothes outside the forge.
But his dignity is immense. When he leaves, he tells Pip that division is inevitable now, but pleads with him to remember him simply as Joe the blacksmith there at the old anvil. Just remember who I am, where I belong.
It's devastating because Pip, at this point, is mostly just embarrassed by Joe. He can't see past the surface, past the clothes.
So Pip dives into London life. Jaggers' office becomes his base, in a way. And it's a grim place. Dark, imposing.
Jaggers treats his clients dismissively, calling one poor guy a blundering booby. He seems to hold everyone in contempt. The office is near Newgate Prison and the Old Bailey Courthouse, the heart of London's criminal justice system.
It's a world of crime, punishment, and shady dealings. And to navigate it, you need strategies. Which brings us to Wemmick.
Jaggers' clerk. Wemmick is fascinating. He's perfected this split personality.
Absolutely. In Jaggers' office in Little Britain, he's all business. Wooden face, post office, mouth slot for speaking. Totally unsentimental, obsessed with portable property, cash, valuables. That's all that matters.
But then, away from work, at his home in Walworth.
It's a complete transformation. He lives in this miniature castle, complete with a moat, a drawbridge, and a cannon called the Stinger that he fires every night.
And he cares for his lovely deaf father, the aged parent, or Agent P.
Yes.
Here, Wemmick is warm, quirky, almost sentimental.
It's his escape hatch. His way of preserving some humanity separate from the harsh legal world. He even has this collection of morbid curiosities from criminals.
Right, razors, confessions. He tells Pip every one of them lies, sir. In Walworth, he can acknowledge the human drama and deception. In the office, it's just business. It's a lesson for Pip in compartmentalization.
Pip also finds a friend in Herbert Pocket, who turns out to be the pale young gentleman he fought at Satis House years ago.
Which is a nice touch. Herbert is instantly likable, isn't he? He gives Pip the nickname Handel, after Handel's music, the harmonious blacksmith.
A charming nod back to Pip's roots, even as Pip is trying to escape them. Herbert is full of optimistic, slightly unrealistic business schemes, trading sugar, tobacco, rum, elephant tusks.
He represents the hopeful, perhaps slightly impractical side of being a young gentleman with expectations but not much actual capital yet.
And then there's the Pocket household itself, where Pip goes for his education. It's chaos.
Complete chaos. Mrs. Pocket is obsessed with her aristocratic connections, knowing exactly when her grandfather would have come into the book of nobility. She's completely useless domestically.
The children are basically raised by the servants and are always tripping over Mrs. Pocket's footstool, which she keeps hidden under her skirts for some reason.
While her husband, Matthew Pocket, Pip's actual tutor, is intelligent but totally overwhelmed. He has this bizarre habit when stressed.
Right. He puts his hands in his hair and tries to lift himself up by it, as if he could physically pull himself out of the mess. It's a perfect image of intellectual competence drowning in domestic dysfunction and social anxiety. #JagsBRC, the great revelation and the crisis of identity.
So Pip lives this London life for several years. He accumulates debts, hangs out with Herbert and other young gentlemen, pines for Estella, and generally feels quite, well, aimless and unhappy despite the money.
Yeah, the expectations aren't bringing him the satisfaction he thought they would. He feels miserable and dissatisfied. The life of a gentleman isn't all it's cracked up to be, especially when it's built on a secret.
And then the secret comes crashing down. On a dark, stormy, wet night in London, the weather outside is described as awful, mud, deep in all the streets.
A perfect mirror for the moral muck about to engulf Pip. A stranger arrives at his chambers.
A rough-looking older man, dressed like a voyager by sea, strong, weathered, with iron gray hair. Pip doesn't recognize him at all.
Until the man reveals himself. It's Magwitch, the convict from the marshes, returned from transportation in Australia.
And he delivers the devastating truth. He is Pip's secret benefactor. Not Miss Havisham, him.
Yes, Pip, dear boy. I've made a gentleman on you.
It's possibly the most shocking revelation in the book. All that money, the foundation of Pip's new life, came from the hard labor of this exiled criminal.
Magwitch explains he worked tirelessly as a sheep farmer and stock breeder in New South Wales, saving every penny, sending it all back to Jaggers for Pip. I lived rough, that you should live smooth, he says.
The horror Pip feels is immense. His entire identity, his sense of superiority, his hopes of winning Estella, all built on the fortune of this man he finds physically and socially repulsive. The source says he felt stronger repulsion the more he admired me.
It's pure class prejudice laid bare. The fortune isn't tainted because it's criminal, necessarily, but because it comes from this kind of person, a coarse common man. Pip is absolute reeling. He confides in Herbert, who is loyal and supportive, and they try to figure out what to do. Magwitch, now using the alias Provis, needs to be hidden. He's illegally returned, and if caught, he'll be hanged.
Magwitch makes Herbert swear secrecy on this greasy little classed Black Testament, reinforcing the dangerous, illicit nature of the situation. Don't you swear on me, he warns. The stakes are life and death.
And then Herbert provides the crucial link. He remembers Pip's childhood story about the other convict on the marshes, the one Magwitch fought. He connects him to a name, Compeyson.
And writes down the connection. Compeyson was the man who professed to be Miss Havisham's lover. Suddenly, the two strands of Pip's past the convict and Miss Havisham are intertwined.
It turns out Magwitch and Compeyson have a long, bitter history. Magwitch tells his story a life of poverty and crime, being took up since childhood. He fell in with Compeyson, who's educated, smooth-talking, a gentleman criminal.
Compeyson used Magwitch, exploited him, and then betrayed him. At their trial, Compeyson used his gentlemanly appearance and manners to get a much lighter sentence, while Magwitch got the harsher penalty. Classic injustice based on class.
And Compeyson was involved with Miss Havisham's ruin, likely alongside her half-brother Arthur. Magwitch mentions Arthur dying in terror, haunted by a woman in white, presumably Miss Havisham putting a shroud on him.
So the plot that destroyed Miss Havisham's life is directly linked to the criminal rivalry that has now returned to endanger Pip. It's an incredibly tangled web.
And the danger is very real. Pip becomes paranoid, seeing threats everywhere. He finds a man hiding on his dark staircase.
Then Wemmick provides concrete proof. He gets a message to Pip via his Walworth connection, the friendly, unofficial channel warning him simply, don't go home.
Magwitch is being watched. He's under suspicion. Wemmick, switching back to his cold professional London persona, advises Pip to secure Magwitch's portable property, his money, immediately.
Because, as Wemmick puts it bluntly, you don't know what may happen to him. The priority is the asset, not the person. It's a stark reminder of the world Pip now inhabits. Magwitch's life is secondary to his wealth.
So the pressure is immense. Magwitch is in hiding, Compeyson is likely hunting him, and Pip needs to get him out of England. But before they can execute their escape plan,
Pip gets lured into a trap. A mysterious note summons him back to the marshes near the old forge.
And waiting for him there is Orlick. Dold Orlick, the surly journeyman blacksmith who worked for Joe and always resented Pip.
Orlick represents the dark side of the working class, the bitterness and violence that can fester. He ambushes Pip, ties him up, and reveals his long simmering hatred.
And then comes another shocking confession. Orlick admits he was the one who attacked Mrs. Joe years ago, hitting her with a stone hammer, leading to her decline and death.
He did it out of spite, partly fueled by jealousy of Took's rise. It connects Pip's social climbing, his rejection of the forge, directly back to violence in that world. His expectations have had unforeseen, brutal consequences.
Orlick is about to kill Pip, gloating that he knows about Magwitch, Provis being hidden, and boasting that Compeyson wants Magwitch dead. They won't have Magwitch alive in the same land with them, he says. It confirms Compeyson is actively hunting Magwitch.
Pip is only saved at the last minute by Herbert and Startup, another friend, who luckily found a dropped warning note and followed him. Trabb's boy, the tailor's apprentice who always mocked Pip, ironically helps guide them.
It's a close call, and it forces them to accelerate the escape plan for Magwitch.
The plan is to row Magwitch down the Thames River, wait for the tide near Gravesend, and then hail a steamer bound for Hamburg or Rotterdam, getting him safely out of the country.
It's a tense journey downriver. They disguise Magwitch, try to blend in with the river traffic, but they feel watched.
And they are. As they approach the rendezvous point with the steamer, a police galley, a four-oared boat, suddenly appears and closes in.
They've been betrayed, or perhaps just under surveillance all along. Compeyson is on the police boat, pointing Magwitch out.
A struggle erupts as the boats collide. Magwitch lunges at Compeyson. Both men end up in the water.
Magwitch is quickly pulled out by the police and instantly manacled at the wrists and ankles. He's captured.
Compeyson disappears beneath the churning water near the steamer's paddles. His body is found later. His life of deceit ends violently in the river.
And this moment, Magwitch's capture, is the catalyst for Pip's final transformation. All his earlier revulsion, his shame about Magwitch, just vanishes.
He sees Magwitch not as a source of embarrassment, but as the source describes, a man who had meant to be my benefactor, a much better man than I had been to Joe. His loyalty finally shifts completely.
He stands by Magwitch through his trial and sentencing. Magwitch is inevitably found guilty, given his past record and illegal return, and sentenced to death.
While Magwitch awaits his fate, Pip pursues one final mystery. He's become convinced he knows the identity of Estella's mother.
Right. He suspects Jaggers' housekeeper, Molly, the woman with the strangely strong wrists, whom Jaggers described as a wild beast tamed.
He confronts Wemmick, then Jaggers, and Jaggers, speaking carefully, hypothetically, confirms Pip's suspicion.
Molly was indeed tried for murder years ago. Jaggers defended her and got her acquitted. She had a child, a daughter, whom Jaggers arranged to be given to one of his clients for adoption, Miss Havisham.
So Estella, the symbol of unobtainable high society, is actually the daughter of Magwitch's nemesis, Compeyson's associate Molly, and quite possibly Magwitch himself, though the book leaves that paternity ambiguous. She's the child of crime and violence raised in decay by Miss Havisham to break hearts.
It connects everything. Miss Havisham unknowingly raised the child of the criminal world that intersected with her own ruin. Estella's coldness isn't innate gentility. It's the result of trauma, manipulation, and hidden parentage.
Magwitch is dying in the prison infirmary from injuries sustained during the capture. Pip stays by his side constantly.
He shows unwavering loyalty now. And in Magwitch's final moments, Pip tells him the secret that will bring him peace.
Dear Magwitch, Estella lived. She found powerful friends. She is living now. She is a lady and very beautiful, and I love her.
It's the ultimate gift for Magwitch. Knowing his sacrifice wasn't in vain, that his gentleman loved the daughter he never knew he might have had. He kisses Pip's hand and dies peacefully.
It's incredibly moving. And with Magwitch's death, his fortune is forfeited to the crown. Pip is left penniless, ill, broken.
He collapses, suffering from fever and debt collectors closing in. And who comes to rescue him?
Joe, dear loyal Joe. He arrives without a minute's loss of time. He nurses Pip back to health, pays off his debts without a word of reproach.
Pip says healing came with Joe's presence. Whoever came about me still settled down into Joe. When Pip is finally conscious enough to ask who's there, Joe just answers, "Which it air, old chap." Simple, unwavering affection.
It's the ultimate rebuke to Pip's years of snobbery. Joe embodies the goodness Pip rejected. During his recovery, Pip learns one final detail about the expectations.
Miss Havisham, before her own tragic death in a fire, added a note to her will, leaving a significant sum, £4,000, to Matthew Pocket.
Why? Because of Pip's account of him. Pip had spoken up for Matthew Pocket's character to Miss Havisham, trying to help Herbert, and that unselfish act had an unexpected positive financial outcome long after Pip's own fortune was gone.
So Pip recovers, humbled and changed. He decides to go back to the forge, propose to Biddy, the kind, intelligent girl who always saw through his pretensions, and live a simple, honest life with her.
But when he gets there, he finds Joe and Biddy have just gotten married.
A quiet, fitting resolution. The life he scorned has moved on, found its own happiness without him. He sees them standing outside the forge happy.
And then he looks into the kitchen window and sees Joe sitting by the fire, and there's a small boy, their son perhaps, fenced into the corner with Joe's leg and sitting on my own little stool.
It's a powerful symbol. The cycle continues. The simple, stable life endures, renewed. But it's no longer Pip's place. He has to find his own path now, hopefully informed by everything he's learned. #tag outro.
So after tracing this whole arc, this deep dive into Pip's expectations, what's the takeaway?
Well, it seems pretty clear that Pip's pursuit of greatness, driven by shame and ambition, ultimately brought him nothing but misery, debt, and moral compromise. He even compares himself to Frankenstein, pursued by the misshapen creature he had impiously made his own false, gentlemanly self.
Right. True value, true connection wasn't in London society or the mysterious fortune. It was back in the life he tried so hard to escape with Joe, with Biddy, Herbert, and ultimately even with Magwitch, the source of his shame who became the object of his deepest loyalty.
Dickens really critiques the Victorian obsession with class and status, doesn't he? He shows how the gentleman ideal can be hollow, built on secrets and debt, while real integrity and love often reside in the supposedly common people.
And the complexity of Magwitch is fascinating. He's a criminal, yes, but his driving motivation towards Pip stems from gratitude, a desire to reward a simple act of kindness from childhood.
That single act of generosity, however funded by potentially illicit means, creates Pip, the gentleman. Compare that to Compeyson, the actual gentleman by birth and education, who only spreads betrayal and ruin. It really muddies the waters of who is truly good or bad.
Which leaves us with a really interesting final thought for you, the listener. Magwitch's fortune, the source of Pip's transformation, is seized by the state upon his conviction. The money literally disappears.
Yet Pip remains changed. He retains the education, the experiences, the altered perspective that the money bought. So the question is, if wealth derived from crime is removed, can the person shaded by that wealth ever be truly free of its origin? Does the taint of the dirty money linger, even when the money itself is gone?
How much of who we become is tied to the legitimacy or illegitimacy of the opportunities we're given? It certainly makes you wonder about the hidden foundations beneath many success stories, doesn't it?
It really does. A lot to think about there.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the complex world of great expectations.